Hello and welcome to the CSN3M podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Wade with Case Specific Nutrition. On this channel, we focus on mentoring, mindsets, and myth busting, all as they pertain to health and nutrition. Today's topic falls into the category of myth busting and maybe even a little bit in the world of mindset. And what I want to talk about today is the difference between health and weight loss. And this is a topic that I'm sure I could get on a really long, overly winded soapbox about, and we could start citing social and cultural oppositions and controversies. And I want to instead try and do something I'm not very good at, which is stay concise. It's because I really want to make sure that I help the people listening today walk away with some key, tangible thoughts. We're now a couple weeks into the new year. No doubt many people are, either into their New Year's resolutions or followed my advice from our end of December, early January podcast about having a better understanding about what resolutions are really for. But nonetheless, we're, into a new year. And with that, I think anything I can do to help people better capture health is worth doing. So here it is, the basic concept. And I've explained this to quite a few people in one-on-one meetings, and I've spoken at this topic at length in speaker sessions over the years. And it's important to note that health and weight loss are not the same thing. And more importantly, weight loss is not in itself always healthy. And there's the obvious versions of weight loss that's not healthy. Things like when people have some sort of illness. I don't think anybody thinks delusionally when they get the flu and lose 6 pounds because they're dehydrated that that's healthy. And then there's the slightly less obvious but very rampant obligated weight loss where people feel obsessed with a number and feel like they need to change their body, and it leads to negative feelings of self-worth and all sorts of body dysmorphia and poor eating habits and disordered eating behaviors and dysmorphic mindset and poor relationship with exercise. But what I actually mean is that weight loss itself, just good old-fashioned weight loss, is not in itself health. Health is a positive, balanced relationship with body, mind, and spirit, right? So it is when you are physically in tune, mentally in tune, emotionally in tune, and spiritually in tune with yourself. And in some instances, weight loss may be a side effect of getting into a healthier state, but too often we do the opposite. People decide to lose weight in an attempt to find health. And so what today's topic is really focusing on is the relationship between the two. I partly blame the medical community because doctors, especially in their, they have very short windows that they're allowed to interact with patients. They're having to deal with 1,000 different topics in their 5 to 15 minute stints. And many of the topics are acute and need immediate prompted attention. So it's become very easy for them to look at a BMI chart, which is a very outdated measure that we'll dig into and tear apart another day, and say, hey, you need to lose some weight. And that's it. That's all they get, right? Go on a diet, lose some weight. And obviously that implies that it would be healthy to lose weight. The problem is it's making the effort to lose weight seem temporary, right? It's saying, hey, go on something short term, get the pounds off because the pounds are the problem. But in reality, if you have excess body fat, so if you have more body fat than your body can safely and healthily have, which is leading to hormonal dysfunction and raising risk factors for heart disease and stroke and all of those problems, then yes, losing that fat would in fact help. That said, that fat is likely referencing or in reflection of or in attention to a larger issue or a more prominent and daily struggle, right? Whether it be emotional eating or whether it be horrendous stress levels at work or whether it be sleep apnea, it usually reflects a larger problem that is disrupting what we would call our healthy balance. So instead of saying, hey, hold your breath and drop a few pounds, right? Go on a diet, hold your breath, see how long you can do it and drop some pounds. We benefit from instead recognizing, hey, I need to refocus on my health, right? My sleep is out of whack, or my stress levels are completely out of this world. Or I'm so busy that I'm deprioritizing quality of food and I'm eating out of convenience. Or I'm anxious and I'm up late at night snacking, dreading the day ahead. Those are all struggles and issues that reflect us not being in a healthy state. But more importantly, if we then address those things, right, start to assign some time away from work that allows us to better balance the work-life balance, or we start to use yoga as a stress outlet, or we go to a therapist to start talking through some of our emotional issues and struggles, or we get a sleep apnea mask and start sleeping with a CPAP so that we don't wake up 60 times a minute. Those are all examples of interventions that can actually improve our health, and as a result, in many ways, can lead to that extra weight that was accumulating coming off. And so another way to think about this, and a reason that it's kind of an important, thought process to have, is that there are plenty of people out there that have some extra weight on their body, according, if they compare to the BMI chart or the standardized weights or whatever you want to compare to. There are plenty of people out there that are in a body like that, but are eating very, very well, right? Or eating good quality foods, eating very healthy, right? Not even eating calorically excessive, right? Are eating calorically adequate, eating what their body burns and what their body needs, are, filling those calories up with high quality foods, plenty of, produce, good quality vegetables, animal or plant proteins that are valuable to the body, nuts and seeds and oils and avocados. And as a result, their cholesterol levels are fantastic. Their insulin levels are sensitive, which means their blood sugar is great. Their, sodium levels are controlled, and so they're in a good place from a blood pressure perspective. They are in themselves eating healthy. And what's really neat is there's a lot of research that supports that a majority of the reduction in risk from heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and those metabolic issues actually comes from the quality of diet and quality of habits, not necessarily from the scale. And so there are people out there that are eating very healthy, and if they wanted to lose weight, the intervention would not be to change how they eat, but would be to restrict, would be to intentionally reduce caloric intake. And once again, we're not saying that these people were vastly overeating. We're not saying that these people were overeating at all. We're simply stating that they were eating what their body needed. They're eating at maintenance, which means they have to intentionally starve their body in some way, maybe not dramatically, but in some way they have to reduce their intake below what their body would ideally like to have, all in the name of weight loss. And it is really important to ask the question, will that actually lead to an improved state of health? Will that actually further improve the health of that individual? And we did a few weeks back, or even maybe a couple months ago now, we talked about body fat and the bell curve of body fat, and how much is beneficial, and there's too little and too much. And when you have too little, hormonal dysfunction ensues, and when you have too much, hormonal dysfunction ensues. But for an individual who's in that healthy range, who does not have any signs of metabolic dysfunction, and is eating high quality foods and moving their body, losing weight just for the sake of losing weight is not in itself an improvement of health. There's another way to look at it too, which is that there are plenty of people out there that are eating really good quality food, way maybe a little bit more than they think they should, which may be accurate, but is more than likely a cultural perception, which is why, as a side note, we always do body composition and talk through and work individually at case specific so that we can help people better understand what optimizing themselves is. We don't compare people to a giant random chart of thousands of other peers. We talk to them about who they are and what, where they can be given their goals and given their athletic aspirations and their health goals and all of those things. But I digress. There's a version of weight loss that is absolutely not reflective of health. And I'm not referring to the illness that I had alluded to earlier, but instead a heavily restricted diet, right? Like an HCG diet that you consume a random amino acid profile and 500 calories a day. or any of the other very low calorie, the VLCLs or VLCD diets, the very low calorie diets that strip the body of essential nutrients, right? Reduce the body and impair the body's ability to respond, suppress metabolic rate by being in a caloric deficit for an excessively long period of time, and as a result, crash mood, crash hormonal levels, set the person up to feel depressed and repressed, all in the name of weight loss. And too often, that person crawls across their weight loss finish line, depleted, malnourished, sunken in, a poor relationship of self, a poor relationship with food, a depressed state of mind. In what world is that person, while thinner, actually actively healthier? And once again, we have to remember that those very low-calorie diets were not designed for just random individuals. They were designed for people who are in a unique predicament that their level of body fat is excessive to the point that their cholesterol levels and their blood pressure and their blood sugar and their insulin, all of those things are absolutely high and through the roof. There's a ridiculous amount of medications, and they're at a higher risk of dying from a heart attack than anything else in the coming days, right? When you have someone at that level of health, even then these very low calorie diets are a stretch. And even then, I would criticize a doctor that prescribes a program that follows one of those intense crash diets that basically sacrifices health for the sake of the scale. Weight loss, if it occurs and when it occurs, should be a side effect of positive intervention. It should be a side effect of improving the diet because of better understanding and better navigation. It should be a result of improving activity because of enjoyment and benefit as opposed to obligation. Weight loss is a side effect, right? If you're eating well, your blood pressure drops, your blood sugar stabilizes, your cholesterol levels drop. That all happens before and regardless of the scale actually changing. Health is a result of balance, and weight loss is not always a part of that. And too often, people are using weight loss as the thing that reflects health, as opposed to allowing their health be the focus and letting weight loss be a natural side effect if that is indeed a part of health. If the depletion of fat stores is actually something that naturally benefits an individual as they're implementing positive habits, then so be it. So a very, very different mindset, one that I hope that you can see and understand and differentiate from. And especially for those of you out here doing New Year's resolutions and challenging yourself to adopt new habits, please, please, please keep in mind that your ultimate goal should not be weight loss. Rather, your ultimate goal should be to become a person that enjoys doing things that are positive for your body, mind, and spirit. And if you enjoy doing those things and they are indeed positive and they are indeed different from what you were doing prior to, the body will change, your frame will change, the scale will change, but all as a side effect of you adopting the habits. And so let's turn this focus around. Instead of picking up habits for the sake of the scale, let's pick up habits for their legitimate benefit and enjoyment, and let the scale show you how those habits have accumulated. One last thought I'll leave you with is that natural bodybuilders are a very disciplined and tedious population of people, right? They're very focused, they're very vigilant. But what's interesting about them is that they're extraordinarily proud of the body that they build over the course of decades. And I said decades, right? And the reason for that is a natural athlete can only build so much muscle so quickly, which means in many ways, their body is a testament of how long they've been doing their habits, right? If they started training and eating the way they have been, after a year, they're going to look a certain way. After 5 years, they're going to look a certain way. After 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, right? The body, in many ways, is reflective of duration. And that is no different than those of us that are trying to focus more on just health. The body reflects duration. And so doing a 21-day fix is not going to lead to changes that have a profound impact on your health. Instead, picking up habits and deciding to allow them to be part of who you are for 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, how long, right? That is what's going to allow accumulation of positive. The body is going to improve more and more and get better and better and better over time. In some instances, that does mean weight loss and body composition change. It often depends on, again, what was happening beforehand and presence or absence of activity. But in many ways, this means improvements in energy levels and inflammation and joints and the health of skin and the youthfulness of skin and the strength of the hair. And then an improvement, again, psychologically in our mood and our perceived state of, of mindset. And so habits, healthy habits in particular, are something that we should invest in and allow them to accumulate over time. Because when they accumulate, that is really where the success comes from. Just like a natural bodybuilder who looks at their body evolving over 20 years, we can look to our habits to allow our body, mind, and emotional state to improve and stabilize over the months and years to come. I'd like to thank you again for listening. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Share it on your favorite social media and tag a friend that you think needs to hear this video or this podcast. Don't forget to do your part, and when you do share it, hashtag spread the health. We are all about the Spread the Health campaign here at Case Specific Nutrition. You can check us out on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are Case Specific Nutrition on Instagram and Facebook, and on Twitter we are Case Specific PGH. And don't forget to tune in next week for our next CSN3M Mindset Monday. For now, this is Andrew Wade. Have a great day.